Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. This is day 2 of sharing my vocal readings from book 18 of my A Book a Week series, Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. Something that I've noticed about Eckhart Tolle is that of all the authors and scholars that I've read from and listened to in this genre, Tolle focuses more on ego than any others that I've learned from. What he's teaching us is certainly nothing new. We're talking about ancient wisdom here, and we are so fortunate to have so many reflection points from which to learn about the principles of ancient wisdom in current times and throughout history. And what I'm really appreciating about Eckhart Tolle's mode of expression is that the way that he describes the ego and our relation to it, or lack of, depending on our awareness of its construct in our human form, the way that he illustrates how to transcend the prison that the ego can be for us through adjustment in consciousness is enriching and vivid and absolutely relevant, considering that in modern culture, we are consistently bombarded with distractions from the present moment that the ego would naturally be interested in fostering in our mind space such that it can survive and thrive. Before I get started on my readings today, I want to highlight a few of the focus points that will be covered in the passages. How to transcend the constraints of ego through a cultivation of awareness. Complaining, resentment, and grievance as they relate to the expressions of ego and the ego's hope to revive itself consistently. Genuine relationships versus role-playing in interaction with other people, specifically focusing on the roles of victim, villain, and lover. A term that I'd never heard before, although it defines a process that I've studied quite a bit, is pain body, which refers to emotional pain from the past that seeks to renew itself or revive itself through experience of more pain. Something I want to asterisk because it's something that has really excited me about reading Tolle is his insertion of Jesus's teachings through this book. This is a quality of Alan Watts' writing that I appreciate so much, and I'm really excited by having something similar to appreciate about Tolle's work. All right, without further ado, I'm going to get straight to it. What I call the inner body isn't really the body anymore, but life energy, the bridge between form and formlessness. Make it a habit to feel the inner body as often as you can. After a while, you won't need to close your eyes anymore to feel it. For example, see if you can feel the inner body whenever you listen to someone. It almost seems like a paradox. When you are in touch with the inner body, you are not identified with your body anymore, nor are you identified with your mind. This is to say, you are no longer identified with form, but moving away from form identification toward formlessness, which we may also call being. It is your essence identity. Body awareness not only anchors you in the present moment, it is a doorway out of the prison that is the ego. It also strengthens the immune system and the body's ability to heal itself. Page 60. Egos only differ on the surface. Deep down, they are all the same. In what way are they the same? They live on identification and separation. When you live through the mind-made self, comprised of thought and emotion, that is the ego, the basis for your identity is precarious because thought and emotion are by their very nature ephemeral, fleeting.
So every ego is continuously struggling for survival, trying to protect and enlarge itself. To uphold the I thought, it needs the opposite thought of the other. The conceptual I cannot survive without the conceptual other. The others are most other when I see them as my enemies. At one end of this scale of this unconscious egoic pattern lies the egoic compulsive habit of fault finding and complaining about others. Jesus referred to it when he said, "Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye?" Page 62. What you react to in another, you strengthen in yourself. Non-reaction to the ego in others is one of the most effective ways, not only of going beyond ego in yourself, but also of dissolving the collective human ego. But you can only be in a state of non-reaction if you can recognize someone's behavior as coming from the ego, as being an expression of the collective human dysfunction. When you realize it's not personal, there is no longer a compulsion to react as if it were. By not reacting to the ego, you will often be able to bring out the sanity in others, which is the unconditioned consciousness, as opposed to the conditioned. At times, you may have to take practical steps to protect yourself from deeply unconscious people. This you can do without making them into enemies. Your greatest protection, however, is being conscious. Page 66. Trying to let go, to forgive, does not work. Forgiveness happens naturally when you see that it has no purpose other than to strengthen a false sense of self, to keep the ego in place. The seeing is freeing. Jesus' teaching to forgive your enemies is essentially about the undoing of one of the main egoic structures in the human mind. Page 71. The truth is inseparable from who you are. Yes, you are the truth. If you look for it elsewhere, you will be deceived every time. The very being that you are is truth. Jesus tried to convey that when he said, "I am the way and the truth and the life." These words uttered by Jesus are one of the most powerful and direct pointers to the truth if understood correctly. If misinterpreted, however, they become a great obstacle. Jesus speaks of the innermost I am, the essence identity of every man and woman, every life form, in fact. He speaks of the life that you are. Page 74. Anything that you resent and strongly react to in another is also in you. But it is no more than a form of ego, and as such, it is completely impersonal. It has nothing to do with who that person is, nor has it anything to do with who you are. Only if you mistake it for who you are, can observing it within you be threatening to your sense of self. Page 78. Awareness is the power that is concealed within the present moment. This is why we may also call it presence. The ultimate purpose of human existence, which is to say your purpose, is to bring that power into this world. I'm skipping down here a bit. Spiritual realization is to see clearly that what I perceive, experience, think, or feel is ultimately not who I am, that I cannot find myself in all those things that continuously pass away. The Buddha was probably the first human being to see this clearly, and so anatta, no self, became one of the central points of his teaching. And when Jesus said, "Deny thyself," what he meant was negate and thus undo the illusion of self. If the self-ego were truly who I am, it would be absurd to deny it. What remains is the light of consciousness in which perceptions, experiences, thoughts, and feelings come and go. That is being. That is the deeper, true I. When I know myself as that, whatever happens in my life is no longer of absolute, but only of relative importance. I honor it, but it loses its absolute seriousness, its heaviness. The only thing that ultimately matters is this: can I sense my essential beingness, the I am? in the background of my life at all times. Moving over to book 17, Thich Nhat Hanh's Touching Peace, to add some texture here. We come to the practice of meditation seeking relief from our suffering, and meditation can teach us how to transform our suffering and obtain basic relief. But the deepest kind of relief is the realization of nirvana. There are two dimensions to life, and we should be able to touch both. One is like a wave, and we call it the historical dimension. The other is like the water, and we call it the ultimate dimension, or nirvana. We usually touch just the wave, but when we discover how to touch the water, we receive the highest fruit that meditation can offer. Now we've moved back to Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. Thich Nhat Hanh's description of touching the water. I parallel here to Tolle's description of what remains as the light of consciousness, the true I. Page 81. Once you realize and accept that all structures, forms, are unstable, even the seemingly solid material ones, peace arises within you. This is because the recognition of the impermanence of all forms awakens you to the dimension of the formless within yourself, that which is beyond death. Jesus called it eternal life. Page 84. In a genuine relationship, there is an outward flow of open, alert attention toward the other person in which there is no wanting whatsoever. Page 90. What does it mean to be confused? I don't know is not confusion. Confusion is, I don't know, but I should know, or I don't know, but I need to know. Is it possible to let go of the belief that you should or need to know who you are? In other words, can you cease looking to conceptual definitions to give you a sense of self? Can you cease looking to thought for identity? When you let go of the belief that you should or need to know who you are, what happens to confusion? Suddenly it's gone. When you fully accept that you don't know, you actually enter a state of peace and clarity that is closer to who you truly are than thought could ever be. Defining yourself through thought is limiting yourself.
I am so enlivened by the passages in Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. I read them repeatedly in order to organize my selections for my vocal readings. And of course, each time I read them, they reach me in a more profound way. But I notice that applying my voice to them and reading them out loud while understanding that my reading may be connecting to another's consciousness is precious to me. I appreciate sharing in this curriculum so much. I very much look forward to sharing more tomorrow and through the week. Until then, may all beings be peaceful and know that we are loved. I hope you have a wonderful day.